Men of Reddit. What myth about men is 100% untrue and infuriates you when you hear it? That we must be swift as the coursing river, have the force of a great typhoon, possess the strength of a raging fire, and be as mysterious as the dark side of the moon. The idea that we don't also suffer from body image issues, it's more common than you think. That men are naturally inferior parents. OHH daddy is babysitting today. No, it's called being a father, you silly twat. All day every day. Men only think about sex. Bitch. Sometimes I just wanna watch a movie. That all we want is sex. This is why my ex thought all she had to bring to the table was her vag. She couldn't handle the other things I wanted out of life. That we are obsessed with sex 24/7. In reality, people's sex drives vary wildly between people, men included. Sometimes all a man wants is a hug, a genuine compliment, and some time alone to play games or work on a skill/hobby. That without my wife I would be incapable of taking care of my children. Nothing ropes my goat more than when I'm out with my kids. 3 boys and I get some offhand comment, oh babysitting the kids today, huh? No, I'm raising my boys to be good men by being an active role model in their lives, like a father should be. The typical stupid man in commercials, bumbling and fumbling with crap while the smart wife looks on with her get a load of this guy look. That men don't like baking. That we only talk about girls and how big their boobs are, like where did it come from? All men love professional sports. Some do, and good for them. I don't, not even a little. Don't care about trades or standings or drafts or beefs or stats or championships or madness or records. Not into it. I don't hate it, but I'm not interested either. Totally ambivalent. That dudes don't know how to cook. It's very manly. You can make a girl very happy with a decent meal. I'm tired of the man flu stereotype. Me, I don't get sick very often. Most of the time. Even if I'm not feeling well, I still come to work and do my job and just suffer through it. The only time I have to stay home sick is when I know for sure I'm going to vomit. What I don't appreciate is the insinuation that all men act like babies whenever they get sick. I don't go around advertising how terrible I feel, but if I'm in bed in the middle of the day, I'm probably just fighting a fever and or waiting for the next time I throw up. Is that being a baby, or is it allowing my body to fight off an illness exactly the way it's designed to do? That we think about sex every 30 boobs. I hate when people learn I'm a male, single parent and the assumption is always how often do you have your child? I have my child 100% of the time and do this on my own. My kid is my world and always be. Makes me sad to always see a bunch of hype for the single moms killing it on their own. What about us dads? I hear all the time that there's 2 types of men, ones that have been caught cheating and ones who have not been caught, yet it is so stupid I would never cheat. It's not really a myth, but I hate when a girl gets fricked over by some frick boy and a huge thread on Twitter starts about how all men are the same and cheat and frick over people. Most of us just want a nice girl and not to cheat. That manspreading is sexual. I only hear women complain about how it's sexual and that men are trying to make them uncomfortable. But let me tell you, first of all, I'm gay. So if there's women around and I'm not sitting with my thighs pressed firmly together, it's not because I'm trying to make them feel uncomfortable or that I want to have sex with them. It's that I'm not trying to crush my peen, or I'm hot and trying to help cool down. Second of all, have they even thought about the fact that men might not want them? I know it's hard to believe, but it's true. That we are horny every time we have a boner. Sometimes it just happens and you can't control it. But men aren't supposed to like cooking/gardening/decorating their house/etc. No, Karen. This is America. I'm allowed to like whatever the hell I want, as long as it doesn't harm anyone else, and you can't tell me otherwise. It's called life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, bish. You are a guy, so you must be good at crafting and mechanics. Like, no, don't just reject your problem on me because you think my gender can fix it, god damn it. Men like to be cuddled. Being the big spoon all the time is boring. All men like big boobs. I hate that stereotype. That our foreskin grows and we have to trim it. That is simply not true. Most men tie it back like a ponytail. Men are inherently sloppy, disorganized, and can't do basic household chores. After numerous relationships, where I was the organized clean one, and being gaslit by some that my not wanting to live in filth is somehow a faulting, and not their sloppy lifestyle, I have determined that myth is a freaking lie. That we are all sensitive about our size. I can't help that I'm built like a Ken doll, so why worry about it? Men want sex all the time, and are always thinking about it. Men are naturally sexually predatory. Men are not emotionally capable caretakers. Men can't be sexually assaulted. Men can't be beautiful. Men don't get depressed. And up anytime I hear someone say that I wanna strangle them. All men are the same. Like fam relax. Showing emotion isn't manly. All men are pigs. That phrase is so sexist. Women are just as piggish as men. That we are threatened by an intelligent woman. Intelligence is sexy. That we somehow are lesser parents because we didn't give birth. I love my son and I care for him every day. A friend of ours is a stay-at-home dad, but we both get stereotyped almost every time we leave the house with that "oh, helping out mommy today" crap. That we are emotionless. Sometimes it is not the right situation to show how you are feeling. Just because I'm not showing it doesn't mean I'm not feeling it. Any myth where a guy chimes in and says I'm a guy and confirm this, and turns it into a joke, way to undermine everyone trying to fight against negative stereotypes. That men are bad listeners. I'm a better listener than my girlfriend is. The idea that masculinity is toxic. The whole sitcom stigma that all men are useless bumbling idiots who can't do anything at home without a woman's help. The mansplaining thing seems kinda off, as though my perspective is worth markedly less regardless of my qualities or life experiences, just because I'm a white dude. That we always pee standing up, if I get the chance, that is. Not being chased by a bear in the woods while cutting lumber and admiring my luscious beard, or rescuing kittens from a fire. I'm 100% sitting my ass down. I'm tired, lazy, and pretty sure even my peen itself has arthritis. Our farts stink worse. Men aren't allowed to be emotional or show feelings. I'm quite an emotional person, and there's certain of my guy friends that I just know I couldn't possibly talk about that side of things without them being very uncomfortable about it. Crap's hard. I miss people. That none of us do skincare / that we only use 3-in-1 soap. Some of us were raised right. That women are cleaner than men / men don't care about cleanliness. That we can't handle the common cold. It obviously affects us differently than it affects some women. Hey, it's real swell that maybe you had a mild reaction to a cold, but that doesn't mean we are wusses when the same cold knocks us on our asses. That we don't need to cry or express certain emotions. One of the strongest bonds that my wife and I share is that we can watch a film or listen to music and be completely open about how we are affected. We have an annual ritual where we watch the theatrical version of Cinema Paradiso and bawl our eyes out at the end. Sometimes we'll put on Frank Sinatra's September of My Years, have a drink and slow dance while we sniffle together. It's wonderful. How can you tell someone you love them if you're not allowed to feel anything? The greatest strength of any lasting relationship is to trust yourself and your partner to be completely vulnerable and safe. Male privilege. Men don't have EFLENGS. That we can't get sexually harassed because all we think about is sex, so we apparently like it. That all men don't want stable loving monogamous relationships or children. Many do, and are really great guys. I never understood why so many people have trouble finding a guy who wants a family. Almost all my friends do, both the single and married ones. I'm a woman, but I hear my friends complain about this, and it pisses me off. The idea that men just think about sex and it's actually not important to their health to wank. I was going through something very stressful and was barely getting any sleep. My loving husband supported me as much as possible during that time, and we had very little sex for like 4 months. Honestly, I think we stopped having sex. I'm at work. Husband is home with what he thinks is a UT. calls me and says he needs to go to the hospital, get out from work. Taking him to the hospital, he comes out with a doctor's note that says we need to have more sex and to take an antibiotic. I was pretty embarrassed, so was he. Apparently he wasn't jacking while I was stressed because hand doesn't feel as good as pussy, but he wasn't get turned on either because I was stressed. What made me off was I told some of my friends this after everything was cleared and they were all party high. Feminism. He's lying. I'm not really friends with them anymore cause I can't put up with stupid. Been said so many times already, but men only care about sex. Why does it have to be about sex? Sex is nice and all, but I'd rather just have a relationship with a woman that enjoys my company and shares one or several of my own interests. You know, someone I can share my life with. If a girl is your best friend, you like her. Masculine means being forceful or violent. Take a look at Robert Plant in the 70s. The guy wore some girl jeans and probably had sex with tons of women. Probably the epitome of man for some people. I don't want my manhood measured by violence or my ability to dominate someone. We too have mothers, sisters, and daughters that we love. We don't want a world where women aren't able to succeed. That having no desire to adopt traditionally feminine aesthetics is a clear sign of insecurity. Let me wear whatever is pleasing to me. Locker room talk. I remember being so upset when the Access Hollywood tapes broke. First of all, locker room talk doesn't really exist, certainly not in the capacity of describing a sexual assault. Have I heard dudes say things like, "She's hot, we finally hooked up," and even an occasional, "I'd hit that," although this one's way less common. Yeah, maybe sometimes. Overall though, locker room talk is a goddamn myth. The idea that some dude is in a locker room describing his sexual assault and other dudes are just standing there listening, or even egging him on is ludicrous. I reckon someone would get their ass whooped for talking like that in a room full of dude. Gender wage gap. I don't know if anyone else has mentioned it, but I hate how men, particularly fathers, are objectified as idiots in television. Al Bundy, Homer Simpson, Ray Romano, Doug Heffernan to name a few. Men are portrayed on television as complete dolts that without a strong woman presence they would surely chop their own arm off with a spatula. I'm with the guys above. Not only can't we be emotional, but we also have to fit into a body type, and we are also generally considered misguided morons by anyone who watches television. A woman in her 30s thought that men couldn't urinate with an erection. That men don't face any social or legal problems in developed countries. Couldn't be more wrong. That men are less crazy than women. I totally agree that men and women are differently crazy, but after enough experience I believe that everyone's crazy curve with wild highs or sustained lows ends up with the same total area under the curve, or BUSes, units of craziness. Based on all the available evidence at this time, it appears men are more susceptible to COVID-19 than women are. This isn't a myth, it's a demonstrably true fact, which has, in my opinion, not received sufficient attention in the press, and it is consistent with what we've seen of many other diseases, including the Spanish flu. However, there is a dangerous myth floating around that the reason for this difference boils down to occupational or behavioral choices. For example, men are more likely to smoke, and they are rather less likely to get regular doctor checkups, and these has been put forth as reasons why men might be dying at a significantly higher rate than women. People in my social circle have shared these explanations with me. These are reasonable hypotheses, but right now, they have no empirical basis whatsoever. All we know for sure is that men are getting sick and dying at significantly higher rates than women, just about everywhere. And given the consistency of this trend across regions and across cultures, the default presumption ought to be that the causal factors are primarily biological. That is, holding everything else equal: age, lifestyle, pre-existing conditions, you name it. Men are at significantly higher risk than women of dying of COVID-19. The idea that social and behavioral factors are driving the gender gap on COVID-19 is a myth, and a dangerous one. It is leading men, including men that I know personally, to misassess their own individual risk profiles based on their behavioral or social choices. To be clear, it doesn't matter if you're a non-smoker who gets regular checkups. If you're a man, you're still at significantly higher risk of getting seriously ill or dying than you would be if you were a woman. And this is particularly true of men over the age of 50. TL. Doctor, like it or not, men and women are different. And when it comes to COVID-19, men are at a real disadvantage. Keep this fact in mind. Share it with your male relatives. And be careful that if we don't want sex, we are cheating, or that we would sleep with any woman who offers. Variation on the we only want sex in general is that we want sex from the specific woman we speak or interact with in any given situation. I didn't make a completely non-sexual joke because I want to get in your pants. I made a joke because we're sitting next to each other waiting for this meeting or class to start, and it's a freaking normal human interaction. Respectfully, most women vastly overestimate the degree to which men are attracted to them. It is absolutely exhausting. How it is hard to find a guy that doesn't talk to multiple women whilst being in a relationship. That we are privileged. We are actually held to higher expectations. All men are pigs and just want sex. Grown men don't cry. YTF can't we hit one 'em? Like, we're both humans.